I have Infinity Q60 2018. I want to make it more reliable. I got 50,000 miles. It hasn't had any turbo problems yet. What should I do? Disclaimer, there are some people that do all of this stuff and they still end up with some sort of catastrophic failure. They just aren't safe and they don't have good luck. So you're going to want to use 5W30 full synthetic oil, and you're going to want to change your oil every 3,000 miles. As you notice, here is a turbocharged vehicle. It requires you to do more frequent oil changes. The second thing I would recommend is getting an oil air catch can that basically relieves the engine from receiving harmful gases that is being released from the crankcase through the PCV valve that goes into the intakes that ends up caking the intake valves. You want to prevent that. The third thing is, if you do not want to be like a marathon runner running in a scorching heat, you need to get a heat exchanger. What that basically does, it helps the turbo flow cold air consistently, which leads to the turbo running more efficiently and working less. You want the turbo to work less, so that's very important. The fourth thing I would say is you need to upgrade your serpentine belt. You need to make sure you get the upgraded pulley system so your serpentine belt doesn't fly off and damage sensors around it. The fifth thing is gonna be your intakes. Your intakes are very important because they're the first thing that leads to the cold side of the turbocharger, which is the compressor side. If you have old or worn out intakes or intakes with oil, you could cause more damage to the turbo because the turbo would be working harder. And if any debris or anything gets past that air filter, it can cause a lot of damage in the compressor wheel. And you don't want to deal with that. To sum this up, you pretty much want your car to be running more efficiently in every single way, whether it's relieving crankcase pressure using this type of breather valve, or cooling, or even air. You just want the engine to be working less than harder. If you want to keep your turbos running for a very long time, you have to keep in mind that people have been mentioning a defect on these turbos regarding the turbo seals, which end up leaking oil to the compressor side and the turbine side. The turbine side is basically the hot side where the downpipes are, and the compressor side is basically your intakes. As you look at this diagram, you could pretty much see the yellow is the oil that is going down from the oil inlet and all the way down to the oil drain. What you have to know is, what is exactly causing this failure? The turbo seals, right? So there's different reasons what would cause the turbo seals to blow out. You could have shaft play, which basically means the shaft in between the compressor and the turbine is moving, so both of them are moving. Or the seals themselves could have been warped, and that would leak oil to just go right past them. Or there's a problem with draining the oil into the oil drain. So there's a bunch of different possible problems. Also, positive crankcase pressure could also come to this problem and definitely create this problem, as it will push the oil to go past the seals. And the final possibility of what is causing these turbos to fail is if the compressor or the turbine is creating a vacuum leak, which basically means it is pulling the oil from inside of the cartridge out from either the intake inlet part or the downpipe or charge pipe area. That oil is being fed to and through those routing locations.